Hello everybody, today I'm going to be taking a look at the new 0-200 Hours Partisan Resistance Cell and Jedburgh Squad by Grey For Now Games. Okay, here's our Partisan Resistance Cell for 0-200 Hours. Inside this expansion you will get 6 metal models, 8 multi-part plastics, your recruitment cards, plan, event and partisan role cards. It also includes rules for the Jedburgh team, which is a 3-man team sent in advance of D-Day. Miniatures are not included here, however, they are kitted out in sort of para fashion, so you may already have miniatures. That will do the job if you got the plastics with the starter set. They do sell this little box that we'll look at as well, but we'll have a look at those in a moment. So, opening it up, you get bases. Those are the Wargames Atlantic double-sided, so you can either glue them on the top with the texture, glue them on the bottom into the dimple and then fill up. And if you're wondering what that is a hole for a 3mm magnet. That you can press fit in there if you want to magnetize your miniatures. You get 2 of the Wargames Atlantic Partisan sprues, so these are identical. 4 bodies, legs, torso complete. Then you get a variety of heads across the top, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. So 14 heads for 4 bodies. That's not a bad return. And then weaponry. So Mausers, Stens, grease guns, Colt automatic, some rifles, a Bren, potato masher, and then a few holstered bits and pieces. So not a huge amount of large rifle weaponry, which makes sense. For partisans, they were really looking for small pistols, sawn-off shotguns, and machine guns, machine pistols that they could hide under clothing. Take a look at those assembled in a moment. And then you get a tray, a couple more bases, and our metal figures, and also deck of cards. Okay, so we'll start off with our cards. They are standard playing card size, so 62 by 42, I think, is the way that goes. Start off, you've got your special rules for your partisans. So, regulars and recruits, Operation Jedburgh. Explains who they were, what their role was. Weirdly, D-Day went so quickly that some of the Jedburgh teams actually landed and arrived at the places that they were supposed to support after the main body had actually already liberated it. So, and other places they went on to do their job. Plan cards. And then we have the plan cards themselves. So, 17 of these that you can play at various points. So not having to break down doors or having a bit of local knowledge, that sort of thing. So a nice addition to the core set there. Then we have our defensive event cards. So 4 of those. So blocked escape, careless talk, cost lives, a collaborator, hesitation. So again, nice way to up the ante for the defenders. And then we have our recruitment cards. So these will match some of the metals, as these are based on the renders. And I sometimes see people looking at the renders and then complaining about the style, the sculpt, without realizing that they have to over-exaggerate detail before casting, or they'll lose that when it shrinks. So I've seen some fantastic renders that when the model is produced, the detail becomes very soft, very soapy. These are the reverse. They've used the render, and people have been sort of, I wouldn't say put off, but there've been a lot of back and forth when these initial renders appeared last year. And that's because they are the model renders now. The models look great. Whether they should have hung on and got painted models, I don't know. That's their choice. But so we have a sniper, we have a partisan operative, Edith. And Remy, not Rene, Remy. Thankfully, doesn't have to lift up a bed to get to that radio. So our main 6 there are, I believe, the metals. And then you have your irregulars, which are going to be your plastics. So again, these are based off, I think, the renders. So you can see partisan recruits, sergeant, ossifer, and then we have our Jedburgh at the end. Take a look at those with the Jedburgh figures. So cards are handy. Good reference point for the game. We're going to start with the metals. So right off the bat, they are all one-piece metals, and casting quality is excellent. In fact, I'm not seeing anything in the way of flashing on these. Oh, there's a bit between his legs. Very thin bit of flashing, and a little bit at the end of the dagger he's wielding there. But otherwise, incredibly clean casts. Seam lines minimal as well. So if I bring Remy in here, you can see how he's been based off the, or how that is just the render for the model rather. He was smoking a tab. Oh, he's still smoking a tab. Well, it gives him something to do on a cold winter's night, I suppose. For our taller figures, the likes of Edith, she is 28mm to eye level, so these are proper proportioned 28mm figures. You don't see many of those these days, and the sculpts are very crisp. And here you can see just some of the fine detail on them. That hopefully you can see the sort of the over-exaggerated eyes and cheekbones and stuff like that from the render on the cards has been minimized by the actual shrinkage in the sculpt. So for those of you at home worrying about the over-exaggerated look, it's all part of the plan. So those are our metals. Beautiful set of figures. I'll bring in some of the plastics that I've assembled, just so you can see size-wise the Wargames Atlantic plastics. Little bit chunkier, I would say. Not much, I mean, but a slightly more rounded face. But size-wise, proportional-wise, they are excellent. And they have a nice variety of caps and hats with them. So they could easily be French partisans or Dutch or even Polish, depending on where you are playing your games. He really looks like he's part of the Warsaw Rising with his soft top on. These went together very easily. Matching up weapons and arms wasn't difficult in any way, shape or form. So you can see there one of our flat cap Sten guns. So really nice set of figures to expand your games of 0 to 100 hours. Now let's have a look at the Jedburgh. I believe they were named Jedburgh after where they were trained, or at least one of the camps they were trained. And so this little pack comes with 3 bases, 3 miniatures. The cards are only in the Partisan Resistance pack though, not with the miniatures themselves. So we have 3 figures. There was always a radio operator, an officer, and then a local. So the non-commissioned officers and the radio operators could be from anywhere really, US, Canada, Britain, or even it may have been a local radio operator. But we have 3 Jedburgh cards. So your non-com, your trooper, and an officer. And then we also have the liaison, the local. Again, because these are wearing kind of airborne uniforms, you could make these up out of the plastics if you have the plastic set. So it gives you a bit of variety with what you're planning on doing. And again, beautiful sculpts, very crisp and very clean casts as well. Officer with a Sten gun, always handy in a time of crisis. And again, these are from boot to eye level. He's a bit taller. He is almost 29mm. Well done him. Having a hawk around the radio as well. There's also a little sheet in the blister pack as well, because there is bonus content and a coupon code as well. And then Test of Honor the same. So nice things to have. So there we have it, the 0200 Partisan Resistance Cell and Jedburgh. So there we have it. Some beautiful figures, as always, from Greyfornar. The fact that the metals don't need to be assembled is always a bonus, I feel. They get a lot out of those single piece miniatures. They're not particularly flat, if that makes sense. Sometimes with single sculpt figures, they tend to be a little bit rigid, but they've got a nice amount of movement and character in them. And they match very well with the plastics from Wargames Atlantic, making a very nice set of Resistance fighters. That should change up how your games of 0-200 hours play out on the tabletop. Some interesting little events and cards in there as well. Let me know what you think below if you've played 0-200 hours. What do you think of it? It's a game that I'm just starting to get into, so I'm looking forward to getting some games on the tabletop soon. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.